Hello and welcome to Business 360. I'm Shireen Bhan. The headlines we're tracking for you this evening. The bulls claw back on Dalal Street. The Sensex and the Nifty move closer to their highest levels in a month. Financials lead the charge with the Nifty Bank Index hitting an 11-month high. Crude oil prices plunged to 7-month lows, with Brent dropping well below the $90 mark. A war averts between Russia and the EU over attempts to cap the price of Russian gas imports. Vladimir Putin threatens to halt all shipments to Europe ahead of the winter. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman says monetary policy is just one component of inflation management and fiscal policy must work together. Cites the decision to import oil from Russia at a discount as an inflation management measure. Also calls for more coordination with state governments to tame rising prices. Indigo co-founder Rakesh Gangwal's family sells nearly 3% stake in the airline for about 2,000 crore rupees. Gangwal has promised to sell his entire holding in 5 years, which currently stands at nearly 34%. Bhatia, the other co-founder, holds nearly 38%. The National Anti-Profiteering Authority claims Tata Play, formerly known as Tata Sky, made undue gains of 450 crores by not passing input tax credit benefits to its consumers. Meanwhile, sources say the Consumer Affairs Ministry has sent a show-cause notice to toothpaste maker Colgate for allegedly misleading advertisements. The Union Power Minister R.K. Singh remains hopeful about the green energy transition, even as he admits that the path is challenging. Private players call for more incentives to boost green hydrogen production and also push for a PLI scheme to manufacture electrolyzers. India's recent policy to expand manufacturing is a wrong choice, says British economist Lord Meghnad Desai. Adds the country's excellence lies in services and exporting software skills. Also warns of severe inflation and unemployment globally in the coming years. Prime Minister Modi will inaugurate the Central Vista Avenue today. Rajpath has been renamed the Kartavya Path, and a statue of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose will be unveiled at India Gate. Apple launches the new iPhone 14 but does not increase the prices in the US. Also launches a new watch and AirPods. Are they worth your money? Stay tuned to find out. All of that and more coming up for you, but let's kickstart the show with the market action of the day, where the Sensex and the Nifty are now closer to their highest level in a month. This after the bulls clawed back some of the recent losses. So we saw the Sensex gain over 600 points, the Nifty put on about 170 points. Bank stocks led the rally today, with the Nifty Bank Index ending at its highest level in 11 months. Anuj is standing by to wrap up the market action for us. Anuj, closing in the green, the bulls making a play today.
Well, the market, the bulls are dominating this market. They, clearly have control of this market. It was visible yesterday when the market made a comeback, and today that comeback was completed. The Nifty was up 1%, but the Bank Nifty really stands out with 2% rally. The Indian market, in fact, has been the best performing market this month and even this year among the larger markets. Weekly expiry, of course, today also helped in terms of short covering, and the Nifty has managed to make a higher closing high, which is something which is technically very positive. As I said, financials did well, so names like Axis, ICICI, SBI led from the front. Cement, for second day running, big gains in both Shree Cement and Ultratech Cement. IT also chipped in today with names like Tech Mahindra, Infosys and Wipro leading the gains. The only pocket where we saw some losses today was metals. So Hindalco and Tata Steel were both down. And in the F&O space, some big gainers, Metropolis, BPCL and City Union Bank. All in all, a very strong session.
A good session for our markets. Anuj, many thanks for joining us. On to the money market action today. The rupee gaining nearly 20 paise against the dollar in trade. It remains below the 80 mark against the greenback as things stand. 79.71 is where it closed for the day. Oil prices sliding to a 7-month low on the back of fears that demand could soften due to the looming recession risk and an underwhelming Chinese export data set. Weak economic data from China amidst its stringent zero-COVID policy has added to demand concerns. And the European Union is now staring at an unpredictable winter as it braces to impose a price cap on Russian gas in a bid to cut Vladimir Putin's revenue source. Now, as the war in Ukraine nears the 200th day, Putin has threatened to halt all energy shipments to Europe if the price cap were to be imposed. His comments could mean that EU nations will have to introduce energy rationing in the winter months. The EU has already asked member nations to voluntarily reduce their gas consumption by 15%. Russian state-owned company Gazprom has already shut down gas flows to its key Nord Stream 1 pipeline to Germany, Sylvia Amaro gets us the latest on the EU's stand. Sylvia.
President of the European Commission, which is the executive arm of the EU, Ursula von der Leyen, she said that they want to go ahead with a cap on Russian gas prices. Immediately after that, the president of Russia has said that if that ends up being the case, then Russia could cut all supplies of energy to the bloc. But the European Union does seem to stand firm, and the idea of going ahead with these gas price caps is indeed on the table. Let's take a look at what else von der Leyen had to say yesterday.
We aim at lowering the costs of gas, and therefore we will propose a price cap on Russian gas. Of course, the objective is here very clear. We all know that our sanctions are deeply grinding into the Russian economy with a heavy negative impact. But Putin is partially buffering through fossil fuel revenues. So here the objective is we must cut Russia's revenues, which Putin uses to finance his atrocious war in Ukraine.
Von der Leyen also made it very clear that they want to go ahead with immediate measures to support vulnerable households and the businesses. And then ultimately, also important to keep in mind that they want to impose mandatory targets on electricity consumption. So these are a couple of ideas that are just getting more ground ahead of a meeting that's taking place tomorrow. But we have yet to see where the European Union is going to land on these proposals.
Sylvia Amaro, many thanks for joining us. Meanwhile, newly elected UK Prime Minister Liz Truss is set to unveil a support plan worth billions to help people pay their energy bills. Truss is planning to cap bills at £2,500 a year, so watch out for that. Even as European nations struggle with low supply of energy, China has begun sourcing liquefied natural gas from Russia at half the price, as per a Bloomberg report. Now, Bloomberg says that China is selling the same shipment from Russia to Europe and Asia at a higher cost. China's LNG imports from Russia surged to a 22-month high in August, as per data from the S&P Global Commodity Insights. And back home, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman has said that importing oil from Russia at a discount is part of the government's strategy to manage inflation. She said that monetary policy alone is not the only tool that can be used to tame inflation, and that the RBI will have to be more synchronized. She's also called for coordination with state governments to tackle rising prices.
I respect the Prime Minister for his courage on this. Get it from Russia. Get it from Russia because they are willing to give you at discount. I give credit to the statesmanship of the Prime Minister to make sure globally that we did keep our relationship with all countries, but yet managed to get the Russian fuel, which is what Japan is doing today, which is what probably Italy and some other countries are doing. So sanctions, wherever they are, sanctions. But countries are finding their own way to get that very Russian fuel, Russian gas. That also is a part of the inflation management. Reserve Bank will have to synchronize somewhat. May not be as much synchronized as the other Western developed countries would do. I'm not prescribing anything to the Reserve Bank. Let me be careful here. I'm not giving any forward direction to Reserve Bank. But it is the truth that India's solution to handling the economy, part of which is handling inflation also, is an exercise where the fiscal policy, together with the monetary policy, has to work.
Well, that's the Finance Minister there on inflation management and using the route to buy Russian crude at a discount as one of the measures that the government has adopted to rein in inflation. On to a CNBC-TV18 exclusive. British economist Lord Meghnad Desai spoke with Lata about India's growth outlook and manufacturing reforms. He believes the country's recent policy to boost manufacturing is not an appropriate choice, as India's excellence lies in the services sector and software exports in particular. He's also warned of severe inflation and unemployment globally in the coming years. Take a look.
We have an oil price rise, energy price rise, which without any other thing will cause us taxation, and if you add war to it. So difficult times are coming ahead. I don't want to be an optimist. I want to be a pessimist. I want to tell people, don't think it's just happening to India. It's happening to the whole world. Yeah. We have realized that we are actually not a hardware country. We're a software country. You know, we had this obsession about making machines to make machines and all that sort of stuff. Terrible. I think we really ought to realize we are a service economy. We're not a manufacturer. Forget manufacturing. Money can be bought anywhere. Doesn't matter.
Bet on services. That's a prescription there from Lord Meghnad Desai. Indigo co-founder Rakesh Gangwal and family sold nearly 3% of their stake in the airline for 2,000 crores today. This comes months after Gangwal stepped down from the board and declared that he will park his stake up for sale over a period of 5 years. The Gangwal family now holds around 34% stake in Interglobe Aviation, the holding company that runs Indigo. Sonia joins us now. Sonia, step forward in ending the 4-year-long legal tussle between Rahul Bhatia and Rakesh Gangwal.
Well, thanks a lot for that. So 7 months after stepping down from the Indigo Aviation board and stating that he would sell his entire holding over a period of 5 years, the co-founder of Interglobe Aviation, Rakesh Gangwal, and his family have now started the process of selling their stake in Indigo. The Gangwal family today sold 2.8% stake in Indigo for 2,000 crores. Remember, the co-founder Rakesh Gangwal and his wife Shobha Gangwal together own 23% stake in Indigo as on June 2022. Now, the Gangwal family trust and cumulatively owns about 36.6% stake in Interglobe Aviation. And Rakesh Gangwal had indicated that he would sell his entire holding over a period of 5 years. Now, the stake sale today was possible after the modification in the Articles of Association, which allowed the sale of shares by promoters without seeking the approval from the other. But what this does is puts to end years of dispute between the promoters. Post the stake sale, Gangwal's holding will be down to about 33.8%, while Rahul Bhatia, who's the other co-founder, will continue to hold 37.8% of the airline.
All right, Sonia, many thanks for joining us. In other news, broadcast service provider Tata Play is facing profiteering allegations. The National Anti-Profiteering Authority has accused the company of making undue gains worth 450 crore rupees by not passing on the input tax credit benefits to consumers. In an order issued the 6th of August, the NAA has said the company made these gains during the period of July 2017 to January of 2021. The company has been asked to deposit the amount in the Consumer Welfare Fund along with 18% interest. The Consumer Protection Authority, meanwhile, has sent a show-cause notice to FMCG major Colgate-Palmolive for allegedly misleading consumers in an advertisement. The ad claimed that toothpaste brand Colgate was the recommended brand by dentists and doctors. Colgate-Palmolive has time till the 20th of September to respond to that notice. The Union Cabinet has cut the licence fee for railway land to 1.5% from the earlier 6%. The lease period has also been increased to 35 years. Railway Minister Ashwini Vaishnav says increasing the licensing period will attract more investments. He's also added that all companies, including Container Corporation, will have to enter via a competitive bidding process to avail the new licence fee. Take a look.
5 साल को अगर हम ठीक कर दें, we give it a certain 35 years का पीरियड, राइट? 35 years का एक पीरियड दे दें और एक क्लियरली डिफाइंड फॉर्मूला बना दें, तो बहुत सारे लोग रेलवे के साथ जुड़ के अपने मल्टी मॉडल कार्गो टर्मिनल्स बनाएंगे. कोई कॉन्कोर्ड से स्पेसिफिक ट्रीटमेंट नहीं है. दिस पॉलिसी इज अ जनरल पॉलिसी फॉर एवरी पार्टिसिपेंट इन द लॉजिस्टिक्स सेक्टर. किसी भी स्पेसिफिक किसी कंपनी के लिए नहीं है.
Well, that is the Railway Minister. In other news, life insurance companies have witnessed strong growth in their premium income for the month of August. New business premium income for life insurers grew by over 18% year-on-year, also registering a 44% growth from year to month. Among companies, the strongest performance came from SBI Life and LIC, while the weakest performance was from Max Life Insurance. The company's premium fell by 1% year-on-year. And more from the insurance sector, the regulator has dropped its proposal making disclosure of commissions received mandatory for agents. Sources say the decision comes on the back of resistance from LIC and insurance agents. Yash is here with more. Yash.
Well, very recently, CNBC-TV18 had reported that the insurance regulator IRDAI was considering mandating insurance agents to disclose the commission which they receive on each policy on the policy document itself. The latest that we've been given to understand here is that after facing a stiff resistance from the largest life insurance company, that is LIC, as well as the agents community, the insurance regulator has decided to withdraw this particular proposal as of now. The thought after a wide consultation that was formed at the insurance regulatory body was that insurance agents are very crucial at this stage for expanding the distribution, for taking the penetration higher, and if this proposal of mandating the insurance commission and disclosing them on the policy document is brought into regulations, then it will discourage that entire agent community, impacting the business negatively for the industry, for a lot of insurance companies which have a large dependence on insurance agents for the distribution.
Yash, many thanks. We will head into a break, but up next, Union Power Minister R.K. Singh remains hopeful about the green energy transition, even as he admits that the path is challenging. Private players call for more incentives to boost production. A special report when we return. Auto sales in August have seen a growth of 8%, which is below expectations. The growth in pre-COVID period was about 15%. India's automobile dealers have blamed price hikes in the monsoon as one of the reasons that has restricted consumer sentiment. But there has been a silver lining. Passenger vehicles have seen a 41% growth compared to the pre-COVID period. Commercial vehicles have seen a 6% growth, but sales of two-wheelers, three-wheelers and tractors have seen a decline in growth.
We see a definite positive trend in increasing numbers of two-wheeler. As you can see in the year-to-year basis, there's a positive trend. The numbers for the festive season for two-wheeler, we see a definite growth happening there.
And there's more from the auto space. TVS Motor has unveiled two new models in its Apache range of motorcycles, named Apache RTR 160 and Apache RTR 180. Both models have been upgraded with more power, new design and connected tech. The price for the RTR 160 starts from over 1.17 lakh rupees, while the Apache RTR 180 has a starting price of 1.31 lakh rupees. The government remains upbeat about its transition to green energy despite the challenges. Private players have called for more incentives to boost green hydrogen production and have also pitched for a PLI scheme to manufacture electrolyzers. Abhimanyu Sharma reports from the first EU-India Green Hydrogen Forum.
The G20 summit in Bali witnessed discussions on energy transition and its associated challenges, while outlining the government's priority on ensuring affordable access to energy for all and securing supply chains. Power Minister R.K. Singh told CNBC-TV18 about the government's initiatives in the field of offshore wind energy.
We worked out the parameters for bids for offshore, what we shall charge, insofar as lease rent for ocean projects, etc. are concerned. So we're keeping the charges very low, just about $1,200 per square kilometer per year or something like that. And we shall collect the electricity from offshore pooling stations. We'll collect it from there and transfer it.
Even as the government is promoting use of renewable energy, private players in the sector are engaging in production of ammonia for forward integration. Private players in the renewable energy sector are also seeking government incentives on hydrogen products as well as a PLI scheme on the production of electrolyzers.
Almost 1,000 gigawatt capacity of electrolyzers are required, where today worldwide the capacity is not more than 1 gigawatt. India has a great opportunity to produce the electrolyzer, particular PAM technology and AEM technology. So there is a best part. So we are requesting government to come out with the scheme of the PLI for the manufacture of electrolyzers in India. Now we are requesting our government to come out $1 per kg on a hydrogen incentive. That will be the great initiative to accelerate the productions.
We are now trying to set up several mega scale projects, and the business model we want to do is very simple: produce hydrogen or ammonia, which is a forward integration of hydrogen at locations where you can produce at the cheapest, find markets where you can get economical prices. So that's the model we are doing, and we are setting up multiple projects. Our aim is to have at least 10 million tons of green ammonia by 2030.
And on to the big overnight development. Apple launched a slew of new products at an event last night. The highlight was the latest version of its iPhone 14 and its 4 variants. The tech giant has not hiked prices for the US market. Arjun Karpal has the details.
iPhone 14, there's not a huge amount that's different about the base models. Apple revealing 4 new models: iPhone 14, iPhone 14 Plus, iPhone 14 Pro and the Pro Max as well. With the base models, not much has changed. Slight different with the higher end models. The iPhone 14 Pro and Pro Max containing the latest chips, always on display, and a slight redesign of that notch at the top of the iPhone as well. The question always is, will people upgrade? Now, if you're on an iPhone 12 or 13, there's probably not much in here that will make you really jump out and go and buy the phone. However, if you're on an iPhone 11 or even older, of which there are millions of people out there, this could potentially be something that entices you. Now, it's not just about the iPhone, it's also, of course, about the accessories, which has become a multi-billion-dollar business for Apple as well. And they revealed 3 new models of watches: the Apple Watch Series 8, the Apple Watch SE, and the high-end Apple Watch Ultra. And what's interesting about that is they're deploying a strategy they've used on the iPhone. Several different price points and several different models with different specs, starting from around $249 up to a starting price of $799. So when you look at that, you're seeing Apple is trying to target the lower end of the market, the consumer who just wants to dabble in smartwatches, up to those who really want to use it for sports and other activities as well. Now on to pricing and demand, because this, of course, was really all about very closely watched for the launch as well. No price change for the iPhones in the US, but Apple did hike the price in a number of international markets here, including the UK, Australia, Japan, and India as well. Interestingly, the company did not raise the price of the iPhones in China.
Arjun, many thanks for joining us. And before we wrap, known as one of the top tourist destinations, Switzerland's tourism sector is still struggling to recover from the impact of the pandemic. The head of the Switzerland Tourism Board told CNBC-TV18 that the country's long-haul tourism recovery is still halfway as compared with the pre-COVID levels, while domestic tourism has picked up. Overnight tourist arrival is still lower.
No, it hasn't yet. The tourism is always hit very fast and very hard, and it takes a couple of years to actually recover from the impact. And we are now still down in overnights. We are counting our tourism success in overnights. Although domestic tourism has picked up and has damped a little bit the impact, but long haul, we are still halfway where we were prior to the pandemic. So there's a long way back.
Talking about the Indian market, which are the key segments in focus?
We are still focusing on those who love to come and enjoy our nature. I think Switzerland has always been an attraction with its mountains, with its lakes, with its nature and landscapes. These are still the main attraction. But what we have seen a shift from basically look at the mountains and the lakes and enjoy it, to experiencing the mountains also more physically, more actively, more dynamically. So people are more getting involved in walks, in hikes, and in all the wonderful activities you can do in the mountains.
Which have been the most preferred destinations which have emerged among Indian travelers in the past few years?
We can see more that Indians are spreading more out to discover the rest of Switzerland. We have some destinations which are good in solid Indian hands for a long time. And more they're curious about also discovering other places. For example, Saint Moritz has been discovered lately, or the French-speaking part, or Geneva are places which actually trigger the curiosity of Indian visitors.
While Switzerland banking on Indian tourists as it hopes to recover from the COVID pandemic. And with that, it is time for us to wrap up this edition of Business 360. Thanks very much for watching. Stay tuned to CNBC-TV18. The news continues on the other side.